Hong Sang-soo caps off his wondrous Huppert trilogy with A Traveler's Needs, one of his funniest and most spirited efforts in years, and my personal favorite of his since 2020's The Woman Who Ran. This marks Hong's 8th feature in just over 4 years, with his 9th, By the Stream, already planned for a Locarno premiere this year. Such a wildly impressive feat considering there has been zero dip in quality within his recent output. Here though, Hong isn't toying around with a playful structural conceit like he was in Walk Up or In Our Day, nor is there any obvious formal gimmick like in In Water. Traveler's Needs instead plays out rather loosely, maybe in an even slighter vein than usual, which by no means makes the film any less profound. Instead makes the little surprises Hong sprinkles throughout this stand out even more. A Traveler's Needs follows Iris, played by the lovely Isabelle Huppert, a French woman in Korea making a living as a French teacher, one with unique teaching methods and a fondness for makgeolli, a milky rice wine. Her peculiar teaching style involves carrying wads of index cards around, which she only pulls out and writes lofty, philosophical French phrases on when her clients attempt to express their feelings or emotional truths. But the group of characters that occupy A Traveler's Needs, made up of many usual Hong players, are mostly unable to say anything truly authentic when trying to articulate their feelings. In turn, Iris teaches her students by having them learn sentences they don't understand, in hopes that they connect to these words beyond the meaning on their surface. This idea is at the very heart of Hong's film, a work so deeply about language and the art of translation, about the beauty birthed from misunderstanding or the barriers that have to be overcome when you are conversing with strangers in a language completely foreign to you. Like most of Hong's work, the narrative details often appear rather dull when recounting them, but it's his display of interaction and emotion which end up formulating greater depth, as Hong is able to capture these moments with such a refreshing lack of artifice, built from overexposed digital images and an unpolished sound mix, topped off with the fact the film appears to have been exported in pretty poor quality as well. But it's these things that oddly make the film even more endearing. He also, as always, keeps his camera very still to capture his collection of awkwardly comical and melancholy scenes, but Hong still stops to employ occasional bursts of experimentation, from seemingly random cuts to insert shots of koi fish in a pool and trees swaying in the wind, to his characteristic zooms toward or away from his characters. And all the other usual Hongian trademarks are present here as well, where a series of encounters are made and conversations had, with one flowing into the next, almost by accident. And of course can't forget about the copious amounts of alcohol consumed as well, just makgeolli instead of soju this time around. The film does mark Hong's 3rd collaboration with Isabelle Huppert, after 2012's In Another Country and 2017's Claire's Camera, but this might just be their finest work as a pair. At this point, it seems very clear that they cherish and feel energized by the relationship they've built over more than a decade. Even though they're both highly prolific artists in their respective fields, they always seem to be able to bring such different things out of each other whenever they collaborate. Hong's off-the-cuff, intuitive creative process brings out a softer, more comedic Huppert, who is largely recognized for her austere work with Haneke or Verhoeven. And on the flip side, Huppert's singular persona opens up new creative pathways for Hong to explore. Some of the film's best scenes come from simply observing Huppert's Iris when she's entirely alone, sitting by herself on a rooftop smoking or eating food in an empty restaurant. Hong knows that you can just place the camera on Isabelle Huppert and sparks are going to fly. The opaqueness of Iris leaves much of her character up to audience interpretation, as we don't know much about this woman who wanders around Seoul in a straw hat and green cardigan. Her French teaching abilities and overarching intentions are rather questionable, but it is nice to think of her way of teaching as similar to how Hong makes his movies, with their equally intense focus on repetition and intuition. Many detractors of Hong's cinema like to say that every new Hong film is just like the one before it, but with each new work, Hong continues to employ subtle variations in his aesthetic and style. It's just that he presents his artistry in a less obvious way than most auteurs do, really disrupting the typical way we think about a cinematic work. And that's exactly why he's one of my favorite filmmakers, because I always know that with him, I'm going to sink into an amusing little game of subversions and on the other end be greeted with such unexpected warmth every single time. His work is truly like cinematic comfort food to me, a potent tonic for when you need something light and breezy in your life, and I will genuinely never tire of it. While A Traveler's Needs may not be the one to convert the skeptics into newly found devotees of his cinema, it's yet another delightful plunge into the world of Hong Sang-soo, whose perspective in life and movie making is so palpably life-affirming.